This is an offense unlike any other in this country or state has ever seen. Not just the number of children who died, but the way the defendant killed them, the amount of research and planning and preparation that went into it, and the way he carried it out. The picking and choosing of who would die. The video of the shooting doesn't have audio, but you will have no trouble interpreting the defendant's demeanor as he kills people and kids in that school.
From disturbing audio to chilling testimony, the prosecution makes their case to the judge on why the Oxford high school shooter should spend the rest of his life in prison without parole for the deadly mass shooting that killed 4 and injured 7 in November 2021. Welcome to CBS News Detroit at 5. I'm Jeff Skaversky.
I'm Shayna Humphreys. The court has adjourned in Oakland County for day 1 of the shooter's Miller hearing. This kind of court proceeding is required for any juvenile defendant who has been charged as an adult to be considered for a life in prison sentence without any chance for parole.
Andres Gutierrez has been following the case all day. We join him live tonight outside the Oakland County Circuit Courthouse in Pontiac. Andres.
Jeff, going into this hearing, we knew the state was going to get into some granular details of the tragedy. In doing so, we heard some graphic testimony of the shooter's violent thoughts leading up to the massacre. In fact, this afternoon, they played an audio clip that can be characterized as the shooter's manifesto. Take a listen.
There's no voices in my head. The voices are me. I am the voices. I am arguing with myself back and forth. I have 3 constant voices, and then there's me physically. And I'm doing whatever those 3 voices tell me to do, and one of them is always coming up on top. And that's the one that's taken over. That's what people call the demons. There are no demons. I am the demon. You are the demon. There is a demon in everyone that is the voice. The demon will take over.
Now, as you heard off the top, the day began with Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald referring to the shooter as an offender like no other, pointing out how he methodically planned out the attack and was willing to spend the rest of his life in prison. Then the chief investigator of this case, Lieutenant Timothy Willis with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, testified for more than 2 hours detailing the 22-page journal belonging to the shooter that was found in a bathroom stall. Lieutenant Willis also described how the shooter romanticized torture, wanting to torture children, but then actually physically torturing baby birds because they're so helpless.
You've been an officer for a very long time. You ever seen anything like this?
Never. It's obviously the torture's disturbing enough. The commentary throughout, the inflection, the knowing, the prior passages and the enjoyment this brings the defendant is, you can't put it into words.
Now, the day did wrap up with an Oxford teacher in the witness stand who was really characterizing the terrifying moment she experienced when the shooter was trying to aim to her head so he could fire a bullet. Now, the court wrapped up here just around 4 o'clock. It will resume tomorrow morning at 8:30. In the meantime, let's go ahead and toss it over to my colleague, Kelly Vaughn, with the Oakland County Sheriff.
Well, Andres, a lot of what you were saying you heard in court, it was hard to hear, and that's what the sheriff's office, you guys have been dealing with this for years at this point. How has that impacted you and the office?
Well, I mean, everything that you're hearing today and it's starting to come out has been running through the minds of all of our people for every minute of every day since this tragedy happened. All the terrible details, the manifestos, his articulation and cold-hearted nature of his intent and excitement about killing people. That's just something that's hard to wrap your head around, and for our people, as they responded to that scene and then got deeper into it and saw all this and had to deal with the trauma of those folks, it's affected them to their core. And obviously everybody in the community, obviously first and foremost everybody in the building and families and friends and relatives and Ripples and Oxford and beyond. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
And, you know, this hearing, it's regarding his sentencing. Do you have any opinions on what his sentence should be?
100%. He needs to, in my opinion, go away for the rest of his life. You know, you talk about rehabilitative capabilities. He very clearly spoke that he knew what he's doing. He knew the consequences of his acts. He intended to live the rest of his life in prison as a result of it and didn't care. He intended to kill people in a brutal, just horrible way. And all of those things add up that, you know, he knew what he was doing. He knew the difference between right and wrong. Even at that age, you can formulate right and wrong. And clearly, he not only formulated it, he articulated he was willing to go to prison for the rest of his life to do this. I say we oblige him.
All right, thank you so much for that insight. We'll send it back to you all in the studio.
Kelly Vaughn, as well as Andres Gutierrez, continuing our team coverage from Pontiac today as the Oxford High School shooter's Miller hearing concludes day one. Thank you both, and Sheriff Bouchard as well.